Hello. Um, Tonight, I'm going to be inking this Undersea Hero page. We started it some time ago on the stream. I actually ended up redrawing this whole section. Hey, thanks so much, Aaron. Thanks for popping in. I know it's late where you are, so I appreciate the hello. Everything. Hope all is well on your side of the pond there. And thank you again for framing that piece. It looked great, man. This is the sort of page that I enjoy the writing portion of very much because I tend to act out the scenes, kind of like the one with Professor Prawn. Uh, I break down some of the things that I do on a page in that latest Kickstarter update. If you haven't checked it out, I posted a link. Hey, Jonathan. Yeah, this is another page I had to basically blow up and start over. But, we got the bottom portion inked. This is the first appearance of the Spongeman with the little sea sponge fella on his head. You can see I tried to draw the Spongeman, the guys that work for the correlator, who's like the ridiculous looking shredded fella, all very normal shaped. I wanted very normal looking. This is just like the skinny guy. This is like the average shaped people, these two guys here. So that's what I wanted with these characters. I just wanted his lackeys to be like very normal looking. So some of the pencils got rubbed off. I've been carrying this around in my bag for a few days, so we're gonna have to go in and tighten some things up before we get the pen out. It's been a long week already for me. I hope everybody else is having a nice week. But as I always say, we open up with the Kickstarter update, and that was that we posted the update, and the digital thank you cards are there. Uh, hey, Bill, I have not. We're supposed to get some more cold weather this way, and I'm trying to do it on a weekend when we have a little bit of snow falling, so it should be coming up soon. Don't you worry, it'll be plenty cold, and I will dislike it very much hopping in the water. Hey there, Brittany. Brittany asks if I will be making it to Colorado Springs Comic Con this year. I don't believe so, but you never know. The promoters haven't reached out to me at all, so you know. I know the folks that run Denver. I've talked to them, but I haven't made any plans or anything. I just haven't been able to really nail. I'm not going to be doing nearly as many conventions this year as I did last year. Last year I was doing them just like a couple a month at least. Shane. Shane, I got the books. They came yesterday. I opened them up this morning. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to reading. The art looks great in the Duke book, and thank you for the excellent goodies in the box doodle. Keeping that tradition alive with the box doodle. Hey, David. Thank you. I'm the one who's honored that you are enjoying it and decided to be an undersea hero yourself. And, Actually, it just came up. I was s- sitting here just a little while ago, and I came up with a really good line that I want to see if I can fit into. Um, it's not going to fit into Great Barrier Beef, but it would be whatever happens afterwards, whether it's a short story or if it's book two or whatever we end up doing afterwards. One of the things that I've really thought about recently is just how long I spend on the steps necessary to do these pages and the repetitive nature of laying it out, penciling it, inking it, coloring it, lettering it. Like it's very repetitive, and you guys saw that Helena strip that I did that was all done on one piece of board, and I did it all in one basically complete thought. And I really enjoyed that process. Like all that it would take for me to at that point was if I wanted to reproduce it, which I'm actually not sure if I do. I would just have to scan it and post it, or scan it and print it. And that process, that streamlined process, really appeals to me. And it would be kind of like going back to the beginning where I'm drawing comics from beginning to end on single boards. And I don't know, it was just a very rewarding experience. And I'm thinking about doing that with at least a future project and trying it out with a full length story and then seeing how that goes. My lettering, I would say, in the last 3 years has gotten better by leaps and bounds. I've always had a good graphic design sense and for sense for layout because I've done graphic design professionally and for a long time and book layouts and stuff. So I think my lettering has gotten quite a bit better, my hand lettering, just with practice. So doing the whole thing on one board is really, really appealing to me. I don't know, and I don't know what that would do. Like, there's also it doesn't mean we can't do special effects and stuff. Like, there's still xerography, there's still things that we can do. But, I'm thinking about that as maybe the way Helena goes in the future, or, new characters or short stories. I played around doing some horror stories. I wrote some, just did them on did layouts and wrote them, but I don't know. Maybe this fall would be a good time after Undersea Hero to do some just relaxing, all on one board stories. I had a couple of local conventions reach out to me, and if I can schedule them in, I will. I'll always post if I'll be there. I have not bugged the promoters of Gem City, one of my favorite shows in the world, and it has been since I did it. They have the best drink and draw after event, in my opinion, and I've been to a lot of them. I love that the Hey Andrew, I love that all the money collected, at least for one of them, was to the public school art program. For another one, they did it for the Hero Initiative, um, and pretty much all the guests go. Like, I was there with you know Bob Hall at one point, and Bob Wychick, and Nate and Sean and uh, Ray Height. We all hung out there. It's a very comic friendly event, just people friendly event. Yeah, some of them are a lot of fun. Others, I haven't. There's some that I haven't enjoyed actually. The ones that are too exclusionary. The one at Gem City, like fans can draw. Anybody can show up and draw. Like just people who are in attendance. If you just like to draw, you can come in and join in and help raise money and bid on pieces. And Paul Pelletier was at one year. Yeah, like no guest too big or small that is there. They all show up, and you can get artwork for a steal. Dave Aikens, um, you know. I never go to the big convention like dance after party things that happen. That's never been my scene. I will never be in a dance mode afterwards. Colorado Springs. What I usually did, and what a lot of artists did was, we would finish up the show. The first day goes late. It went till like 9 o'clock, and we had to be back there by 9 a.m. the next day. But on Saturday, well, we would all, you know, hang out and meet up and get a beer, most or a glass of wine. I had a lovely conversation with Bob Hall because he used to run a uh, Shakespeare company out in, I believe it's Nebraska, and we were just talking about one of my favorite plays, which is Coriolanus. Mike Vosberg came out one year to Colorado Springs. I dragged him away from California. I brought Daryl out one year to that show. Um, it was a fun show to be at, and people were really nice. So, don't know if I'll be back, but it was a good place to be. Last year, I was across from Amanda and Jimmy, Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti. I had some very nice conversations with Jimmy to and from the hotel in the shuttle. And he was kind enough to share the Undersea Hero Kickstarter, and he actually bought a copy. So it was really nice of him to do. So I have backed some of Jimmy's Kickstarters. Yeah, I really like that one shot he did with Dark Horse, The Deep. I think they redid that one at one point, or they're going to. What was the one that he did recently? It was like a crime story. I don't remember. I actually first met Amanda a long, long time ago at an old Mid Ohio con years and years ago. It's amazing. These 5 panels, people will probably look at for a combined total of about 6 seconds. Um, Anybody reading anything good or catching any good flicks lately? I was reading a Challengers of the Unknown comic when I first got home. I got it in a dollar bin with like half the cover missing from like 1968. They were fighting the thing that couldn't die. Oh, thank you, Shane. And when it shrinks down, they're gonna be so small in the book, and there's a, balloon in each of them where he's describing, like, basically, this alert goes off, and he's basically, like, telling Jan and Colonel Feathers, it's like your check engine light, and, then he's hitting the dashboard where the alert is. Trying to show the uncontrolled rage of, the correlator, or when you look at Mr. Burns and he has like I would describe as an impotent rage where like he has no physical strength. While the correlator has physical strength, it still doesn't fix any problems. So like I think that's what makes it funnier. It's that like you would think, oh well, yeah, he's perfectly capable of fixing things, and then when he does something and it doesn't fix it, I think that kind of makes it funnier. Like when you're perfectly capable of doing it, but your mindset gets in the way. And it's fun cartooning. I love the exaggerated stuff, and I think this isn't quite exaggerated enough. This one is. So maybe like because it goes from not as exaggerated to less, and then big exaggeration, and then mania at the end. That it'll work, but you never know. I might have to redraw the panel and do a paste up. People are going to be shocked when they get these original pages if they had the backers that bought original pages because like there are paste ups, there are whole panels redrawn over things, and I just paste just like the old days. I just stick it right on top on the page, or I'll cut out a piece of board and stick it down and redraw it. You know, all the stuff that you do in Photoshop or Clip Studio with just like a new layer. You know, the manual version of that. But yeah. Yeah, Shane sent me a couple of the new GI Joe comics. I read the first couple off the shelf, and I just thought that again, not a GI Joe fan traditionally, that they're just quality books. Like the storytelling, the artwork. Robert Kirkman hired really talented people and said, "Go to it," instead of handing them a style guide and saying, "No, you can't do that." I mean, I'm sure there's some brand management, but to me, it feels like there's way more creative freedom than in other iterations of the book. I mean, because if you pay this quality of people to make stuff, when you get like Daniel Warren Johnson to do Transformers, like you're not going to tell him to copy a style guide. Jonathan says, but I am not pasting it in with rubber cement. That's true. That's true. I'm using archival safe tape. Like if you were matting or mounting something, for framing. But it's the same process, just slightly better material. And if somebody wanted to, because I think it's cool that if you want to, you can see it underneath the panel, like if you just lift it up, and it's not going to hurt either thing. You can see my intended original that I chose to publish, and you can see the one that I rejected. So you can see some of the process there. I I was testing the thank you card on the update. There's one that's a GIF, and there's one that's just a JPEG. The reason I was originally just going to have the GIF, but I tested the GIF on the movement on a mobile device, and it was just going insanely fast. So, and I tried adjusting it in Photoshop, and I just couldn't get it to work. So on your internet browser, it should look fine, but if you were looking at it on your phone, it might be like a buzzy neon sign from the 80s that needs a bulb replaced, that crackly look. Yeah, work's been busy. A lot of graphic design work lately, so my time has been limited. So I haven't had a ton of time to like watch movies or catch up on my comic book reading, which I am always perpetually behind on. I have the to be read pile, and it's not as bad as it was. It's probably about this high at this point. I know every good comic reader has a to be read pile. I wonder if anybody else is reading, the new GI Joe stuff. If they maybe know like how those are doing sales wise. I would be interested to learn that because I'm hoping I don't have to special order every issue. It's one of the things that I've been frustrated about with some of the LCSs around here. Like, if it's not Batman, like you basically have to special order it in some of them. There's a couple that carry more shelf copies of things, but by and large, it's become a special order business around those parts. And I want to keep giving the LCSs money because they keep the industry going. There's some great comic shops just a little far for me to go on like a random day, when I've got chores to do. Like, I would love to get up to Rubber Chicken Comics every weekend, but it is a long drive for me. Oh, that's cool. Let's see here. The last panel, Shane says the last page he bought had panels redrawn and you could see the original art through the back. That's very cool. And Jonathan says, what about a to be read box? Asking for a friend. Well, I for a long time had the to be read box, and then I had to back off on my buying and catch up on the reading. I still have a couple on my bookshelf because I also have a couple of novels I bought that I haven't read. I got a couple of Harlan Ellison anthologies at a used bookstore that I'm looking forward to, but it's just like I feel like I can just chip away at one story every now and again. Like, I don't have time to sit down and churn through a novel like back in school days. I had to. I just had to back off on the buying for budget reasons and just wanting to get through the ones that I had. Um, it's getting harder for me to draw so small. I don't know. What is the gray clay thing? This is just this is an eraser. This is called a kneaded eraser, and they're like stretchy, and it's actually just a more delicate way to pick up some of the pencil marks. What it does is it lifts it off the paper, and it actually the dust goes into the eraser instead of just mushing it around and having the dust fall. where it may. It's just, I'll use 2 different types of erasers to try to make sure I get everything, because my pages are messy. That's another thing people are going to learn when they, I finally let some go, is that the pages are, it takes me a lot more work when I'm trying to work clean, and that's another reason why if I do a commission, it can take me a really long time, is I will draw and redraw it on, just to have the board clean for people, because I feel like that's the expectation. They expect a professional to draw like picture perfect clean lines, and I'm not very good at that, so probably gonna redraw that panel right there, I'll tell you right now. In this panel, we just have to draw some hands, which, takes practice, but I actually quite enjoy drawing hands at this point in my life. I find it a fun challenge. I'm sorry if you can hear the dryer through the wall. My little studio space is not far from the laundry room. I'm still learning some of the Kickstarter stuff. I didn't realize that I could do updates just to backers, which is what I should have done with the one last night. So in the future, like when we finish the book and I have links for the digital copies of the book, which I'm hoping to have in not just PDF, but also in either EPUB or Kindle, maybe both. You'll be able to get it in a download link that goes out to all the backers through an exclusive update in Kickstarter, which I just learned how to do. So I would have done that last night, but I didn't know how to do it until it was too late. So I won't post the thank you card on social media until probably the end of the week, so that backers have a chance to snag it before anyone else. Got quite a few folks in the stream tonight. Thanks to everybody for popping in. I did post a link to the Kickstarter update and gave kind of a brief breakdown when we first came on where we're at. This is, I believe, the last page of this scene. So the next scene will be Lord Crackus at the craps tables at the Undersea Casino, whooping it up after he stole Undersea Hero's wallet in those preview pages and the issue 0 pages. Yes, yes. Several pages of Crackus whooping it up with Lord Poseidon at his undersea casino. He's got money to burn. Everybody likes Crackus. You get Crackus, you get Poseidon, you get to meet some of the other wacky characters that work at the casino, which I always find is fun. You know, like on if it was the Muppets, you'd be meeting the people of the town during a Muppet Christmas Carol, or the other rats that work at the diner in Muppets Take Manhattan, or just the world of characters that may only be in one scene, but I always felt Rolf needed more scenes in the films. I felt like he got shorted on in the movies. I was actually looking at some older DC comics and some Bronze Age stuff, and it was Jose Garcia Lopez drawing some DC Comics Presents, and it was just another instance where I saw surprising amounts of motion lines and some of that cartoon language, that Harvey Kurtzman style language that I don't always expect from illustrative superhero style artists. I believe it was issue 3. DC did an event years ago called Retroactive, where they got creative teams that had worked on characters in the past to jump back on their books. And this was in an issue of The Flash that Sal Buscema was working on. And a penciler I wasn't familiar with, but it looked like Sal Buscema, like late Sal Buscema, with him inking it. So if you like, the Spectacular Spider-Man era Sal Buscema, then with a little bit tighter line, not quite as loose. Maybe you'd want to check that out. I think it was the Silver Age Flash. Sorry, I should have raised that up. I just was having trouble seeing it a little bit. grab my pencil. Forgot to draw on the little indicators for his little claw things. Sorry, I'm not as chatty. Sometimes it's better if I just stop talking and draw. But obviously, if anyone has a question or anything, feel free. But with little drawings, I just have to focus more because every line, you know. And in each of these panels, there will also be sound effects. So like some of this will get covered up. Like there will be sound effects of like the alarm going off, and then the smack, 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 and then smack, 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 and then like just him panting at the end. Arrange myself so I can see better. There we go. Just need a little water. I'm gonna come back in and just rework this a little bit. It's a little too loose right now, and if I were to try to ink it, it would be, there'd be a lot of decisions I'd have to make in ink, and my confidence is like 50-50 right now, so I'm gonna go in with my pencil, make some of those decisions in a way that I can edit them if I need to going forward. I was trying to describe this book to someone who is not a comic book person, and you know, it was a little bit tougher, just because it's built so much on like comic narrative and comic, you know, history in terms of genre, in terms of, you know, the visual styles and everything, the tropes that we're commenting on. So I had to tell them that it's a basically like an ocean comedy of superheroes and over the top action and jokes and creatures, and you know, generally when I mention the Muppets in a description, it usually helps get some crossover interest in people who have no interest in superheroes or comic books. And then I show them Professor Prawn and Lord Crackus, and it starts to click. You know, once you start trying to describe a talking, gambling, drinking cuttlefish to people that aren't in comics or aren't into like the genre stuff, there's sort of like this look of like I'm absolutely mad. I was drawing pretty well on Saturday, but I had to work all day Sunday on not drawing stuff. More paperwork, tax stuff, all kinds of fun things. Paying my sales tax to the state of Massachusetts. I actually had someone somehow order something from my web store, even though it's closed and hidden. So I'm gonna have to, I don't know if they bookmarked it or didn't clear out their cache, or they've been like going to my store. So like, I don't know, but somehow they ordered something. So I had to refund them and send them an email. I did not hear back from them. You know, I was just confused as to how it was possible, but and they ordered something that was available as an add-on for the Kickstarter, so I don't know. Maybe they didn't see it while it was live or something. Yeah, I think I will be redrawing that one. Let me grab my extra small. I got an extra small for these panels because of just how tiny this stuff is. Again, these are lines that aren't going to really reproduce, that nobody's going to see. It's just for my own stupidity. I wanted the like the bulging eyes, like they were popping out of his head. Again, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels that will probably get looked at for 3 seconds over the course of an average reading of this book. I should have used this on some of the earlier stuff. Maybe I'll go back in and noodle a little bit as I'm watching TV after this or something. I just had no time to draw today. Tough angle for the nose right there, because you got to get enough of the side and the front and the volume, and it actually sticks over the mouth a little bit, so there's a little overlap. It's a tough angle. That one piece of hair that sticks out and makes you look like a crazy person. I had that the other day. Nobody mentioned it. Nobody was like, hey, you might want to fix that one alfalfa looking piece of hair that's sticking up. Do people even know who their little rascals are anymore? I don't know. Probably not. I was never a big fan. There's just one little bleep of light that comes out of the panel. One last gasp of energy as the panel apologizes to. I'm always amazed at the artists that can actually do like a quick little panel with the way that they simplify the shapes. It's a skill that's really tough to master. My buddy Joe's really good at it. St. Pierre, he just posted a beautiful Spider-Man versus the Rhino piece, which I'm sure would sell, instantly on his Whatnot stream, or it's a private commission or whatever. But I look at that Spider-Man drawing and I wish that, some of the editors would just give him another crack. Because I believe he's doing some of his best work of his entire career right now. There's so many artists like that. There's so many artists that, just continue to get better. And I think that Joe's definitely one of those guys. Always working on his craft, always observing, always looking for new techniques, new materials. Craig's like that too, you know? Craig Russo. I wish I could afford some of these beautiful marker commissions I've seen people doing lately. I'm always jealous of the people that are able to draw well with markers. I just couldn't get it to work for me. I'll always be a watercolor guy for colors, I guess. Daryl Banks keeps posting these beautiful full color marker pieces. I have over 20 pages of published Daryl Banks artwork, but I do not have a single marker drawing. I was at I believe it was a Pittsburgh show, probably around 2003, 2004, sitting next to Daryl. And he had a couple of pages that weren't selling. And there were no major characters on them. They were from the JLA Spectre Soul War. One of them was a splash page of the character, the villain monster ethereal character that they were debuting in that. And he was going to throw it away. He's like, nobody wants this. And I flipped it over and it said $25 on the back. And I happily gave him the $25 for a full splash page from that Prestige series. It's in my Comic Art Fans account if you ever want to see it. It was, I don't think it's $1 million page, but it is definitely worth more than $20. My God. Maybe he was having a bad day. I don't know. After this, I'll pop up here and work on, there's like a bigger correlator face there that, you know, at least you can get some character. It's tough getting that from these little panels, these little teeny panels. So there's not even room to add really any rendering. It's purely just the outline line art. One of the other good things about the kneaded eraser as opposed to the white plastic eraser is that with some of these pens, even though they are archive ink, or they'll use India ink, or they'll use a light fast ink that's archival, it doesn't pull the ink off. And sometimes with those white rubber erasers, it will pull the ink off. Hey, Michael DeFonte is here. How you doing, Mike? I know I still owe you a book. I will get that thing in the mail. You ordered it just beforehand. I'm hoping I have a copy of that one here. Otherwise, I have to go to the my storage unit and grab it there, but it shouldn't be too big of a deal. But yeah, these are those 5 panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're going to be like about this big in the book, 40% smaller. I just want to redraw this face, and I probably need to redraw this arm. But yeah, I redraw stuff all the time. I do. It's satisfying to know I got it as right as I could get it at that time. I'll look at it again, weeks later or whatever, and I'll see it, and I'll want to change something. But at that point, if I've redrawn something and it's finished and it's been in the drawer, unless it's egregious, I just kind of got to roll with it. But yeah. And the little panel like beeps at him, hits it, beeps again, hits it with both fists, keeps beeping, hits it with fury of fists. I think we need to... There we go. I'm going to come back in here with my pencil and rework some of this before we get inking, because it got smudged. There was more pencil on here, but clearly, like, between pieces of paper, it was rubbing up against the board it was next to, so we're going to just go back in and we're going to use our regular HB lead with our 0.5 pencil. Let's see what we can do here. I'm just trying not to rush it, because this is like the setup panel for the rest of this thing. And then we have the alert, he hits it, pause, hits it again, hits it, hits it, hits it. And then we have, how do you actually fix this problem? It just involves a mop and a bucket. There's the mop. And then there's the bucket and a spongement to fix the problem. So. Yeah, I'm glad I went back in, because there's definitely a couple lines here that are off. It's like the eye socket floated a little there. I'm just shoring it up on this one side. One little line, that's all it'll take, and it shows a little bit more volume. It shows a little bit more rigidity than, it's... I know they're abstractions and they're like not photographs, but they are representational, and I do want them to be as believable. So we're going to go in and work on this face for a little while before we ink it. It's 9 o'clock, so I don't know how long I'm going to be on tonight. I'm definitely tired. It's been a long week already, even just with it being Wednesday, so haven't got a chance to draw it down. Mike, you been able to get much drawing in, Mike? Everything good? He's probably drawing right now. He's probably got like 2 books done tonight. I'm still just working on this page. I'm working a lot on cheekbones, really just nailing that skull structure down in ways that, you know, really help anchor the expression. And look, I know we worked on this page on a previous stream, but if it needs to be redone, it needs to be redone. If you ever find yourself wishing to draw the correlator, just always remember he's got like a weird shaped neck. It's the neck that really like sells some of his ridiculous features. I do have my 100th episode on the horizon in May. I'm hoping to do some fun stuff. If I could get some of my artist pals to swing on. If any of the regulars want to set up their webcam and say hi, you know, totally down for anything that, you know, people want to zoom in. Not sure how many people we can have on at once, but you can see how many little squares we can fit up in there for the 100th episode. Crazy. My camera is slipping. Sorry about that. Must have been when I moved one of my boxes of stuff. Still trying to get things situated after moving, even with some stuff. I've had no time to work on my studio. Pretty much got my stuff up in here and I had to get to work. The shoulder waffles, as I think of them, are just supposed to look like blobs, like spongy blobs with little spikes on them. Again, if you're drawing the correlator and you're drawing the shoulder waffles, you want them to look ridiculous. Yeah, some of my anatomy here was a little mushy. Really glad we went back in with the pencil. You know, sometimes taking that step back really helps. And I know people say if you just went digital, you would just be able to, you know, Control Z your way to victory. But I just love drawing on paper, and I end up looking at a screen all day. So it's just lovely to not look at a screen. Shoulder waffles making me hungry is what Desiree says. I gotta be honest, haven't had a waffle in a very long time. Actually, the ice cream place near where I used to live actually had the best waffles around. JP Licks in JP in Boston. They had those big fluffy waffles. You could get them with like, you could either get them with just like syrup, or you could get them with like ice cream or whipped cream or whatever on them. They did like sundaes with them. And then we have one of those ghost images, like because he's turning his head so fast. Jan is saying something rather snide to him, like, hey, what's this alarm? He just turns his head real fast. That was an effect that Neil Adams used a lot. Uh, they used it in Bloom County. See, I'm drawing better now than when I started. That happens to me sometimes too, over the course of just knocking some rust off. If it did the microphone thing, just give me 1 second. I'll do the reset button trick. Hold on. It's my only fix.